black juror and replace them with a white alternative. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's Major League Baseball teams got a win last night. The Dodgers beat San Diego 6-3. Shohei Ohtani had his first pitching performance in almost 2 years. Ohtani pitched the first inning. He gave up 1 run and 2 hits. At the plate, Ohtani had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. The Dodgers and Padres meet up again tonight at Dodger Stadium. The Angels beat the Yankees 1-0 in 11 innings in New York. Angels manager Ron Washington used 6 pitchers to keep the Yankees scoreless. The Angels and Yankees are back at Yankee Stadium tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 win away from their first NBA championship in franchise history. The Thunder beat Indiana 120-109 to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 NBA Finals. OKC got a career-high 40 points from Jalen Williams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 31 points and 10 assists. Game 6 is Thursday night in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews. Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe. Over the years, Lionel has catered most major black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, it's the best of Donny Hathaway. All 3 hours of our program today. We continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month. And given all of the difficult topics we're trying to traverse today, no one better than Donny Hathaway to escort us through all 3 hours of this program. In this hour on the B-side, actor, author, and co-founder of the LA Women's Theater Festival, Adilah Barnes, comes in the studio to talk about arts in the era of Trump and why it is imperative now more than ever that we tell our stories. But we commenced this hour in conversation with Juan Proaño, who is the leader of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, who I'm honored to have back on this program. I guess the opening salvo, the opening question is whether or not Donald Trump is changing his tune on the immigrant crackdown. He recently spoke about certainly the farm workers and a few other classes of workers in this country that happen to be immigrants. And so one could get the impression that Donald Trump is changing his tune on this immigrant crackdown. I'm going to play some audio from Donald Trump in just a second here. But Juan, good to have you on this program. How are you today, my friend?
I'm very good, Tavis. Thank you so much for having me today.
Your response to that first question, is Donald Trump changing his tune on these immigrant crackdowns? And again, I'll play some audio from Donald Trump in a second here.
Well, we've been tracking it very closely. He's actually flip-flopped many times over at this point, Tavis. And the fact of the matter is he's gone back and reverted to actually going forward and detaining and deporting essential workers, agricultural workers, farm workers. He's back to where we started. No change from him. Yeah.
This is Donald Trump in his own words.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Yeah, definitely not hotels, since he owns a few of them. We can't do this inside of hotels. The Trump Tower and beyond. Juan, no naivete in asking this question, but why do you think, even in that clip you could hear it, why do you think he is so politically schizophrenic on this issue?
Well, because of Stephen Miller. He's, as some folks have said, the puppet master, and he's the one leading the charge when it comes to their immigration, detention and deportation planning. And while the president may have had and received some pressure from corporate leaders that are actually running these companies, understanding that it's going to impact their bottom line, it's going to impact the local and state economy, it's eventually going to impact our national economy, but they are doubling down on their efforts to detain and deport as many immigrants as they possibly can.
Yep. When we come forward, I want to ask Juan Proaño, again, the head of LULAC, what LULAC's playbook is in this moment. How are they advancing their work and their witness in this grim and dark moment? And I want to ask Juan, when we come forward, whether or not this is sustainable. Somebody asked me that question the other day. I want to ask it to Juan. He's the expert, not Tavis, Smiley. How long this is sustainable. We're in a moment, obviously. We got Marines and National Guard troops here in L.A., and there are other governors in Texas and beyond who've called in the National Guard. But is this sustainable? I mean, are we going to go the next 3 years with the National Guard troops and the Marines being called out every time there's an effort at mass deportation? A great deal more to cover with Juan Proaño when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Keep on walking tall, hold your head up high. Keep
from Leimert Park with love. This is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
The road is long with many a winding turn. That leads us to who knows where. Who knows where? But I am strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother. The best of Donny Hathaway, all 3 hours of our program today as we continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month. We choose a different artist of the day and play some of the best of their catalog, weaving in and out of these amazing conversations with great guests on our program, like Juan Proaño, who's the head of the LULAC, League of United Latin American Citizens. Juan, give me a sense of how LULAC is approaching this moment. It is fascinating to watch the way, again, that Donald Trump has been, as I said earlier, sort of politically schizophrenic in this moment about these mass deportations as he's attempting. There really is no mass deportation. We should really stop saying that. His attempt at mass deportation. But tell me how LULAC is showing up in this moment.
Well, thank you, Tavis. I mean, LULAC is the country's oldest Latino civil rights organization, founded in 1929, a corollary to the NAACP.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, we find ourselves fighting the same fights that we were fighting in the 1930s, the 1940s, and the 1950s. You only have to go back to 1950 when they had what they called Operation Wetback, which was the last mass deportation effort by the United States to move immigrants from the U.S. basically to Mexico. And what we learned in that point in time was that there was no way to do this in a coordinated fashion, in which you respected a person's contributions to this country and you handled it with dignity. Then, like now, they were corralling U.S. citizens and deporting them to Mexico. The same thing is happening now, except that we're doing that to undocumented immigrants that may have U.S.-born children, and literally detaining them and giving them the option to leave this country with their children, U.S. citizens. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible to think that that's a day and age that we live in today.
Tell me more, Juan, about what the historical lessons are as you see it, as LULAC sees it, what the takeaways are from having seen this movie back in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. What are the historical lessons for today from what happened then?
I have gone through the history books at LULAC, Tavis, and I will tell you that LULAC actually supported Operation Wetback back in the 1950s, initially, right?
Wait, hold up. I didn't hear you correctly.
You
no,
heard me correctly.
I could not have heard you correctly, Juan. LULAC initially, they supported Operation Wetback initially?
They did.
Tell me more, Juan. I need to hear this.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, when you talk about the Mexican American community, when you talk about Latinos that essentially were in this country before the United States was even established, right?
Yep.
When Texas and California and Arizona and New Mexico were actually part of Mexico, there are a lot of folks that had been here for a very long time and were concerned essentially by what we hear today, right? Mm-hmm. That immigrants were coming into this country, they were taking American jobs, they were reducing wages effectively, and LULAC, as part of that period of time, effectively agreed with some of those policy decisions that they were making. After a couple of years, they realized that it was the wrong decision. They actually pulled their support for Operation Wetback, okay? Because it was actually not only impacting those immigrant communities that were here on what they call the Braceros program, right? It was a program specifically to allow Mexicans to come into the United States to do jobs that Americans would not want to do at the wages that they basically were willing to pay, and effectively said, no, it's tearing apart our country, right? From a racial and ethnic perspective, from an economic perspective. We needed to have those immigrants in this country doing jobs that nobody else would effectively do. So we learned from that, okay? And we've adjusted. I can't speak to the decisions that were made back in the 1950s, but we are doing everything that we possibly can to advance that issue here in the United States through education programs, by civil rights lawsuits. We've actually filed 2 lawsuits against this president since January 20th on birthright citizenship, and also on the order of the EAC, Election Advisory Committee, which he's essentially trying to help change to help leverage their gains in this election cycle.
You said
so we've been very adamant about that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, Juan. You said a few things now that I want to probe a little further. I think I want to start with this, and I want to let me preface this by saying that I am not in any way casting aspersion on you or your community, because what I'm about to indict your community for, I can indict my own community for, namely that more black people this time around supported Donald Trump than they did the last time around. The same is true in the Latino community. There were a lot of Latinos, Hispanics, Chicanos. There are a lot of people in your community who voted for Donald Trump this time around. So we're both, we're both embarrassed and humiliated, I think, by the numbers of folk in our respective communities who supported Donald Trump this time. My question, having said all that, because I want to make sure that you understand I'm not trying to demonize you or your community, we're guilty as well. But are you sensing, is there any data that you can point to, or anything you can point to that suggests to you that there are those in your community that now have buyer's remorse for having supported Donald Trump? He is doing exactly what he said he was going to do, and yet a number of Hispanics or Latinos in this country supported him. Any sense of buyer's remorse at this point?
I call them repentant voters,
okay.
Tavis.
I like that.
They're repentant voters, right? It didn't take long at all after the election for Latino voters to realize very quickly that when he said he was going to cut taxes, for example, that, he also promised that he would do these deportations as well. So now you have over 500,000 Venezuelans, folks from Nicaragua, folks from Cuba, that essentially have lost their TPS status in this country and are now on the short list for deportations. A lot of those individuals supported him. A lot of Cubans supported him. A lot of Venezuelans supported him as well. We've seen those stories, broadcast widely, and we've seen a lot of these raids. I mean, I've seen a gentleman, a Venezuelan that had legal status, whose wife did not have legal status. He went to work one morning. He came back. His wife was gone. Gone. He voted for Trump. He says, this must be a mistake. I voted for this guy. Right. And so, you're hearing more and more stories like that. But I'll be the first to say, Tavis, Latinos can be racist too.
Yeah.
It's a challenge that we have in our own community. And a lot of the work that I've been doing is to make sure that we're much more thoughtful about our approach, engaging with the African-American leaders as well, with the Asian community too, and making sure that we don't make the same mistakes of the past.
Yeah. You use the R word, Juan. I want to use the A word, the A being for assimilation. Latinos can be racist too. And again, I can indict my own community in a variety of ways for mistakes and missteps that some of us make every single day. But how much of this Latino Hispanic support for Donald Trump has to do with this effort this aim to assimilate, to become a part of the fabric of America, to weave themselves in? How much of this is about assimilation, or am I overreading it?
You're not overreading it. When they talk about Italians, they don't talk about them as being Italian anymore. They're part of the white community.
That's right.
When you talk about Irish, they don't separate Irish Americans. They're part of the white community. And Latinos have done a really good job of assimilating into American culture, a lot of them losing their Latino identity within a generation or two, like, for example, the ability to speak Spanish fluently. It's something that we struggle with as well. And so while everyone has been talking about the growing monolith that is the Latino population, that we're going to be a majority minority country here very soon, when you take in Latino and African-American populations combined, the fact of the matter is that if the Republicans are able to co-opt Latinos as white, then they will have a majority for the foreseeable future, right? Which is why we're out here essentially continuing to promote Latino culture and the contributions that we actually make to the United States as well. So while Latinos have a lot of pride, Republicans are trying to do everything that they possibly can to help them assimilate much more quickly, and also to identify within the GOP party as well.
And what's your sense of how that project, as it were, is coming along? Put another way, I've said many times on this program that my read of history is that people eventually, wake up either because they see the light or they feel the heat. But my question is whether or not, given that reality, this community that you serve and love every day is going to rethink how it plays the political game. Will we see any difference, given what Donald Trump has done or is doing? Will we see any difference in how your community shows up in the midterms? Any difference in how they show up in the presidential race a few years from now, given what Donald Trump has done in this moment? Yeah.
I mean, we saw bits and pieces of that coalition within the Republican Party building in 2016. There were, big signs in 2020, for example, and even in 2022. Obviously, 2024 was a watershed moment where Latino men, over 40% of them, had actually voted for Donald Trump in this election cycle. But we're seeing a backlash. We're seeing a backlash primarily around the immigration enforcement. What you saw in Los Angeles and what you're seeing in Los Angeles impacting essentially what are large metropolis cities with a lot of immigrants there. And now the threat that's going to expand into Chicago and New York and Miami, for example, has a lot of folks really thinking twice about their support for him. And we're starting to see that shift in the polls as well. So I think it could have significant implications in 2026. It could be potentially the margin that they will need in order for Democrats to win the House and or the Senate and get some foothold in this government.
Excuse me. Sorry. I'm looking at my schedule for tomorrow, Juan. I just had to double check while you were talking. I wanted to make sure. Tomorrow, our lead guest is your friend, my friend, Maya Wiley, who, of course, is the head of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. She's headed to L.A. later this week for a major speech, one of any number of events. Excuse me one second. Thank you. She's headed to L.A. later this week for a major speech at one of a number of events that we are partnering on as we celebrate the 4th anniversary of my home station in L.A. This program, of course, is heard in cities all across the country, and as I always say, for that I am grateful to be in syndication. But my home station here in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580, is celebrating its 4th anniversary. There are a number of events that we are engaged in this week celebrating that, including our partnership with our friends at the Empowerment Congress, and Maya Wiley of the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights is keynoting that event that I'll be moderating this Saturday. Again, one of 4 major events that we're doing this week. I raise that only because I know that you are now on the board of the Leadership Conference that Maya runs, and I am wondering in this moment how you see the notion of coalition politics. All these civil rights organizations support the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, and you're all a part of it. But I wonder what you might say in this moment, in this American moment, about coalitions. I don't need to color it much more than that. Take it as you will, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, Maya is my sister, and there isn't anyone better suited to lead up the Leadership Conference today and in this moment. And so I support her fully in everything that she's doing. The fact of the matter is that, we talked a lot about immigration and immigration reform and this administration's attack on immigrants, but we didn't necessarily talk a lot about the attacks on the African-American community, the attacks on DE&I, for example. A lot of Latinos would have basically said, well, DE&I doesn't affect us, right? It's really an issue more for the African-American community. Well, come to learn, it affects us deeply, right? When the government started to cut a lot of the DE&I funding, it also started to cut a lot of the funding for Latino organizations as well. I've been moving now for over 2 years now that I've been in this position to build the bridge with the African-American community to work better in coalition across groups, because for the African-American community to get where it needs to get to on DE&I, it needs Latino support. For Latinos to get where we need to get to on immigration reform, we need African-American support. For both of our communities to advance together, okay, and to be able to be part of a winning coalition in elections, we both need to be working very closely together and very much in sync. So these partnerships and these coalitions give us a broad perspective on the issues impacting our communities. My family is probably one of the most integrated that you can see. I've got a nephew who's American Irish. I've got 3 nieces and nephews who are Afro-Latino. We are what they talk about in this country, right? And that's a beautiful thing and something I'm very, very proud of.
I got 45 seconds here, a tight 45, Juan. I'll give it to you. You mentioned birthright citizenship earlier. We are bracing ourselves for all these rulings about to come down from the Supreme Court now that we are in June. How are you bracing yourself at LULAC for this decision on birthright citizenship?
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're going to go against something that has been, sconed in the Constitution for now over 75 years. We filed the first lawsuit literally on January 20th. So we are one of the litigants there, along with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and the ACLU. We have standing there with actually LULAC members that are plaintiffs. I am holding steady and firm that this Supreme Court will make the right decision. Every indication and every argument that we've heard seems to be leaning in that direction. But that's not our only fight. These detentions, deportations, issues of due process as well will impact not only Latino communities, but diverse communities around the country.
Juan Proaño is the head of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. Always honored to have Juan on this program. Juan, I celebrate you as always. Thank you for your work and witness. Good to have you on this program.
And congratulations for this anniversary, Tavis.
Thank you. Very kind of you. Appreciate that. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. After being asked by Black Mayor Brandon Johnson to resign, the CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Pedro Martinez, is leaving town for a new job in Massachusetts.
I've been bullied for a whole year, and that's been publicly on the record.
The school board says they're looking for a permanent replacement. It's the sound of a Black Hawk helicopter recorded by Divots. The military says they've released those helicopters and Predator drones over LA. They're usually used for surveillance, but they can be armed with Hellfire missiles. The Department of Homeland Security claims the drones are unarmed and only being used for aerial support. Speaking of LA, we're still waiting for a federal judge to decide if the California National Guard will stay in LA like the president wants, or if they will have to go like California's governor and Black Mayor Karen Bass wants. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's Major League Baseball teams got a win last night. The Dodgers beat San Diego 6-3. Shohei Ohtani had his first pitching performance in almost 2 years. Ohtani pitched the first inning. He gave up 1 run and 2 hits. At the plate, Ohtani had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. The Dodgers and Padres meet up again tonight at Dodger Stadium. The Angels beat the Yankees 1-0 in 11 innings in New York. Angels manager Ron Washington used 6 pitchers to keep the Yankees scoreless. The Angels and Yankees are back at Yankee Stadium tonight. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 win away from their first NBA championship in franchise history. The Thunder beat Indiana 120-109 to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 NBA Finals. OKC got a career-high 40 points from Jalen Williams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 31 points and 10 assists. Game 6 is Thursday night in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
So many hits, so little time. Donny Hathaway's got hits. Solo hits, Roberta Flack hits. I love me some Donny Hathaway. June is Black Music Month, and so we, every day of the month of June, as you know, choose a different artist of the day. We call it our artist in residence. I should really call it our artist in absentia. But we choose an artist of the day, and we weave in and out of these conversations all 3 hours with the best of that particular artist. And today we chose Donny Hathaway. So we're playing the best Donny Hathaway all 3 hours of our program today. And speaking of the best our community has ever produced, I'm pleased to welcome Adilah Barnes, author and co-founder, actor, but co-founder of the LA Women's Theater Festival, into our studio to talk about how we do art in the era of Donald Trump. We'll talk specifically about the LA Women's Theater Festival, but I'm delighted to have Adilah Barnes in studio. Adilah, how are you today?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for having me.
It is good to see you. Let me start with what I mentioned a moment ago, and that is how, to your mind, we do the arts in the era of Donald Trump. We all know about the Kennedy Center and all the board members who have resigned, and Donald Trump made himself the president of the Kennedy Center, and we see Donald Trump going after the Blacksonian, as we call it, the Black Museum in D.C., on and on and on. I could go. I don't want to waste time running the list. You know this stuff as well as I do. Just talk to me broadly speaking. We'll get to the festival here, but talk to me about how we are doing the arts in the era of Donald Trump.
Well, I feel like in this era that it's really important for us all to realize that we still have personal power. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival in particular, because we don't receive federal funding, we haven't been impacted in the same way that a lot of other theaters have been. Mm-hmm. I know of a theater that a week before had their funding cut. They had everything ready to go, no funding, even though it had actually been allocated. Mm-hmm. So the blessing is for us that because we don't rely on that, we don't have to depend on the federal funding. So that makes a huge difference for us in terms of our autonomy.
Yeah. Talk to me about what it means to go it alone, as it were.
To go it alone in terms of solo work?
In terms of no federal funding.
I see.
There are a lot of people in this moment, to your point, who are getting caught out there because they do, in fact, rely on federal funding. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to federal funding. Why? Because we pay taxes. If we pay into the system ought to do something for us.
I agree.
So I'm not at all offended by those who take federal funding. I do not at this station. And so I'm in the same boat with you. I don't have to worry about that per se. Which doesn't mean Donald Trump ain't going to come after me for something I say on the radio one day.
That's right.
But they can't mess with my funding. I have no federal funding, as it were. I said on this program the other day, while we have no federal funding, we are in trouble. I've been talking to all of my colleagues around the country, other station owners, who are all, we're scratching our heads and trying to figure out how we're going to survive, because so much of the ad agency money that we typically get on these stations has dried up. Why? Because Donald Trump has looked the other way on DE&I, and so has corporate America. From Walmart to McDonald's to Target, run the list. All these folks have turned their backs on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as they turn their backs on DE&I, they close their pocketbooks or their wallets, their corporate wallets. And so every station I know, not just radio, TV, anything black, is struggling right now because the ad agency money is drying up. And so we're doubling down, trying to figure out how we're going to make it without that ad agency money that we rely on. Radio is about spots and dots, right? So I'm in the boat with you. I don't take federal funding, but I'm feeling the pinch as well because of the way that Donald Trump has shown up. But I celebrate those who find a way to go it alone without that federal funding, and yet I know it's a struggle. Talk to me about that part, Adilah.
Okay. In terms of the struggle, I think that all of us are feeling whatever is going on right now nationally. There's no way to get around it.
Exactly.
However, because we have solo artists and they express their own personal views in their work, we're not going to cave in on that. We will still allow our artists to share whatever it is their particular voices are. And so in that regard, it's not going to be something that is going to influence the work that we do. And so we're blessed in that regard. We do receive state funding and local funding, and we'll see what that really plays out to be next funding cycle. Is that going to make a difference in terms of what we're going to receive? I hope not. And so far, we're okay. But we don't know, because we don't know what the future is going to hold in terms of those who are saying, well, maybe we better kind of adjust a little bit. At this point, we haven't felt it.
Yeah. You used the phrase a moment ago, the work that we do. So tell me about the work that you do.
Okay. The work that I do, 32 years ago, I co-founded the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, and we produced well over 700 solo artists from around the globe. 6 out of 7 of the different continents. The only continent we haven't had is Antarctica. So I don't know if we're going to get anybody coming. We may not get anybody coming from that cold.
Don't hold your breath on that one.
We may not get that, but the other 6, we've had them.
There you go.
And we've produced also not only those artists, 700 plus, but we've also honored over 150 women who have made substantial contributions to theaters. And we've I think it's been maybe about 3,000 youth that we've impacted over the years. And we've had free events for people that want to come and don't have to worry about paying. We've actually developed new works through our Hot Off the Press series that we have. So those are new pieces that artists are creating, developing. They'll have an audience, get feedback, go back to the drawing board, figure out what they're going to do differently. So we've really been a place where artists are incubated, but also where they're able to share the work that they've done internationally as well.
What does it mean for an artist to have a space like that where they can be incubated, where they can work through whatever they're working on?
I think it's very important, and our next Hot Off the Press is coming up on June 28th. So we'll have 4 artists that are going to be sharing new pieces that they're working on now. And because they're able to get that feedback from the audiences, they can take it back and say, well, maybe I need to consider doing this, or maybe a little bit more of that, or maybe I need to take this out. So it really gives them the opportunity to figure out how to move forward with the work that they're creating.
When we come forward in this conversation with Adilah Barnes, actor, author, and co-founder of the LA Women's Theater Festival, I want to ask her why, now more than ever, it is so imperative for us to tell our stories. It's a dark moment in America, and yet each of us has a story. Put another way, each of us is a story.
That's true.
Why so important in this moment for us to tell our stories? We'll talk about that and a great deal more when we come forward with Adilah Barnes on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Adilah Barnes, who's an actor, author, and co-founder of the LA Women's Theater Festival. Just watching my time here, it seems to me that in this moment, if ever we need to be telling our own stories, that time is now. You see all the drama about not teaching truth in the classrooms. You see the book bans. As I said earlier, you see the attack on the Blacksonian Museum in D.C. So they're trying to, Donald Trump and his ilk, are trying to make sure that our stories don't get told historically, or for that matter, in real time. All this movement that we see from this administration is ultimately about dissent, trying to shut us up, quiet us down. Talk to me then, as you see it, Adilah, about the pressing need for us in this moment, again, more than ever, to make sure we tell our stories.
I think that in this moment it's extremely important that not only we tell our personal stories, but historically our stories. Mm-hmm. When I began my one-woman show, I Am That I Am Woman Black, in 1990, colleges, universities, over 40 states, 3 continents, it wasn't the same situation. Mm-hmm. So I was able to tell all my stories, all 7 of my historical black women, and nobody ever even tried to say, you can't do this, or you can't add her, or whatever. I had that total freedom. So I think now is a time where, as artists, if we're solo artists, we want to make sure that culturally, we continue to tell our stories in the way that many of us have been doing over the years for quite a long time.
Yeah, speaking of a long time, the Black Theater Network is having its annual gathering this year in Los Angeles. Tell me about the Black Theater Network for those who are unfamiliar with the work they've done for almost 40 years now.
Almost 40 years. This will be their 39th annual festival that they're having, or their conference. It'll be at the Hilton. It'll be July 24th through the 27th. And they actually were founded by college professors, academicians, and they branched out. So it's really for artists who are African American outside of that particular world as well. And what's really exciting to me is that this year the theme is Art and Liberation, Achieving Black Permanence. At this time, it's about permanence. How are we going to continue to still be here? And so I'm sure that that's one of the reasons why they are addressing that theme this year.
I love that theme, Black Permanence. To your mind, what is the role of what I would call the citizen artist? I'm talking about artists who have some gravitas, who understand what it means to be rooted in this moment, what it means to tell our stories historically, and I said earlier, and in real time. What in this moment, in this era of Trump, is the role of the citizen artist as you see it?
I think that at this moment, in terms of the citizen artist, we have to use everything we have, pull out all the plugs to tell our stories, to make sure that they're not diluted, that they're not eliminated. So whatever that means, and if we're those who have that kind of presence, to make sure that the voices we have are heard.
Yeah. Are you in any way concerned, frightened about Black permanence?
I'm really not.
Yeah.
I'm really not. And I guess because of the world that I'm in, the solo world, you can tell your stories. And so I can't imagine a day where the solo artists that I represent are not going to tell their personal stories or their cultural stories. So we've had that freedom, and I imagine we're going to continue to have it.
Yeah, there are always questions about whether or not Black folk are going to be in the future. So
we've been here. I don't think we're going anywhere.
Yeah, from your mouth to God's ears, that notion of Black permanence is something to be wrestled with.
I tell you.
Yeah, I digress for now. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Adilah Barnes, we'll talk specifically about the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. You might want to come to L.A. And hang out and enjoy the festival. We'll talk about it in detail when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.